بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على عبده ورسوله الأمين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. We move on inshallah today to a new chapter that deals with the different forms of prayers. So we finished the chapters that deal with tahara, with impurity, with the description of the Prophet's prayers alayhi salatu wasalam, and with the description of how to pray with congregation, with description of when to travel and how to pray a traveler's prayers and when to combine, when to shorten. And after that, usually scholars speak about the different types of prayers, such as Friday prayer, which is the most prominent and most important, Eid prayers, prayers for rain, prayers for funeral, prayers for eclipse, etc. And the scholars usually join all of these prayers in one section. And the compiler of Umdatul Ahkaam is not a stranger to that, and that is why he began by addressing the issue of Friday prayer. Now we know that there is a surah in the Quran by the name of Suratul Jumu'ah, which indicates the importance of that particular prayer. Not only that, we know that the day of Jum'ah is an important day for the Muslims, and that is why Allah Azza wa Jal has specified this day with a special prayer, unlike any other day. And why is this day important? Because it is the holiday that comes once a week. It is a celebration, a day that calls for celebration, or actually it is a day of Eid. There is no such thing as celebrating it, but it is a day of importance. The Prophet told us alayhi salatu wasalam that this is the best day the sun has ever risen in. It is the day that Allah created Adam. It is the day that Allah instructed the angels to prostrate to him. It is the day that Allah Azza wa Jal descended Adam in it due to his sin. It is the day that the day of judgment will take place in. The Prophet told us alayhi salatu wasalam, every single week all animals are anticipating and listening, afraid that the day of judgment will come on Friday. This is something we do not see, but we do believe. The day of Jum'ah has a number of protocols that the other days don't have. In the day of Jum'ah we recite Surat Al-Kahf every single Jum'ah, because the Prophet told us alayhi salatu wasalam that whoever maintains this, a light shines from underneath his feet till the day of judgment. And this is something of great reward. The Prophet ﷺ instructed the men also, before attending the Friday sermon, to have ghusl. And whether this ghusl is mandatory or not, it's an issue of dispute among scholars, but no one argues that it is highly recommended in Islam to offer this ghusl, whether it's mandatory or recommended. But they all agree that it is recommended. It is part of the sunnah to offer this ghusl. And it has the prayer of Jumu'ah, which is prayed instead of Dhuhr. So those who pray Jumu'ah do not offer Dhuhr, and those who miss Jumu'ah must offer Dhuhr. And it is not a replacement of Dhuhr, in the sense that it is prayed in different times to Dhuhr. It is prayed in a different format than Dhuhr. Dhuhr is 4, this is 2. Dhuhr is silent, this is loud. Dhuhr is prayed after the sun leaves the meridian towards the west, after the Zawal, and this is prayed much earlier than that. There is a dispute among scholars when to be prayed exactly. The Dhuhr does not have a khutbah. This is mandatory to have for Friday, to have 2 khutbahs, and along with another or a number of different things that differentiate Jum'ah from Dhuhr prayer. We have a hadith, which is hadith number 133. We would like someone to read it for us. Yes, brother, over there on the top.
Sahl bin Sa'd, may Allah's peace be upon him, narrated that men debated to what was the material of the Prophet's pulpit. Sahl replied, "It was made of tamarisk wood of the forest. I have seen Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam stand on it and said, Allahu Akbar, and led the people in prayer. He bowed and then raised his head and stepped back, got down and prostrated on the ground, and then he again ascended the pulpit until he finished his prayer, and then faced the people and said, O people, I have done this so that you may follow me and learn my prayers." In another narration, and he prayed on it, offered takbir on it, and raised his head while standing on it, and then descended backwards from it.
Very well. This hadith is about an issue that some of the Muslims discussed, and that is, what was it made of? That is the pulpit of the Prophet ﷺ, that he used to stand and deliver the khutbah of the Jum'ah. So what do we learn in this regarding the Friday speech, the Friday sermon? That it is to be delivered from on top of the pulpit, which is 2 or 3 steps high, that the Imam stands so that he would be overviewing the followers and the congregation, and they would be able to see him even from a distance. So the Prophet ﷺ, as Sahl ibn Sa'd al-Sa'idi, may Allah be pleased with him, and he is among the last to die from the companions in Medina. He's the last of the companions to die in Medina. So the Tabi'een went to him to ask him. So he told them that he knows what material was the pulpit made of, and he gave them a description of the type of the wood, and he also added an extra piece of information, and that is that the Prophet ﷺ prayed once on the pulpit, offering recitation and bowing, but prostrating by going backwards and prostrating on ground and then going back again, so that people would see how he prays. And that is why he justified this by saying, I did this only so that you can see how I pray. Now, one may argue and say, does this go against the issue of sincerity? Because Allah does not accept any deeds unless it is sincere for His sake. So, was the Prophet praying for the sake of Allah or for the sake of teaching the people? No, he was doing both. He was praying for Allah, but with an extra value to teach the people. And is this permissible in Islam? Yes. Allah Azza wa Jal says in Surah Al-Baqarah, لَيْسَ عَلَيْكُمْ جُنَاحٌ أَن تَبْتَغُوا فَضْلًا مِّن رَبِّكُمْ. What does this mean? Allah says that there is no hardship, there is no problem if you ask for provision from Allah Azza wa Jal. When? While doing Hajj. And this ayah was revealed because some people felt that it would not be suitable for them to perform Hajj and sell and buy and trade at the same time. So Allah revealed this ayah to say that it is no problem for you to offer Hajj and at the same time trade. Because Shaitan came to them and said, this is not sincerity. If you're sincere, only go for the sake of Allah for Hajj. No, it is no problem for you to offer good deeds and meanwhile do some benefit on the side, providing that doing the benefit is not your actual reason. So if someone leads a prayer and the government gives him an allowance for leading the prayer, must he say, no, I don't want it? I didn't request it. The government volunteered, and this is the system that they give all imams money. If this is the case, it's okay to take it. Because once the government stops the money, will I continue to lead the prayer or not? If the answer is no, then you're not sincere. If the answer is yes, you give me money, you don't give me money, I'm going to pray, I'm doing it for Allah, then this is a sign of sincerity, unless the imam does not have any other source of income. So in this case, once they cut the payment, it is permissible for him to go and teach, or to go to look for another job elsewhere, because at the end of the day he is responsible for his welfare and for the welfare of his family. We move on to the second hadith, hadith number 134. Yes, the first brother here.
Narrated Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhu, I heard the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying, anyone of you coming for the Jumu'ah prayer should take a bath.
Now this is an issue of dispute among scholars, whether it is mandatory to perform ghusl before you attend the prayer or not. And what is the reason of the difference of opinion? For example, the hadith we have with us here. The Prophet says, alayhi salam, whoever comes among you, any one of you coming for Jumu'ah, should take a bath. Should take a bath, this is an order, an instruction. So is it mandatory or not? It is an issue of dispute among scholars. Those who say it is mandatory, they have a number of evidences. Among them, this hadith. And another hadith where the Prophet ﷺ said, Ghuslul Jumu'ah, the ghusl of Jumu'ah is mandatory upon every person who reached the age of puberty. And they also use the hadith where Uthman ibn Affan, may Allah be pleased with him, came late one day for Jum'ah, while Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, was giving the khutbah. And Umar did not like this, so he said something that Uthman replied to by saying, by Allah, Khalifa of the Prophet, or Khalifa or Amir al-Mu'mineen, I did not have time except to perform wudu, and I came. And Umar was shocked and said, and you also only performed wudu? Did you know that the Prophet instructed us to make ghusl? We have a short break. Stay tuned, and inshallah we'll be right back. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back. So Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, was outraged because Uthman did not offer ghusl. Other scholars say that no, it is not mandatory, it is recommended. Why? There are hadiths that say that if you come with ghusl to Jum'ah prayer, this is good. And if you come with wudu, this is sufficient. So this hadith clearly states that it is not mandatory and that it is something that is sunnah. And they answered the hadith where the Prophet says, the Friday ghusl is mandatory upon every person who reached the age of puberty. They say that continue the hadith, complete the hadith, because the Prophet said this and then said, and the siwak and perfuming. So the meaning would be, the ghusl of Friday is mandatory upon every person who reached the age of puberty, plus using siwak and perfuming yourself. And by consensus of scholars, using the siwak and the perfume is not mandatory. So being with the first phrase means that mandatory here is recommended. And they go on to give a number of reasons and evidences, so it's an issue of dispute among scholars. I personally believe that it is highly recommended. And what adds value to that is the hadith of Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him, in the Sunan. And I trust that it's in Sunan Abi Dawood, where the people were discussing Ghusl al-Jumu'ah, the ghusl of Friday, and he said, I will tell you about that. The origin of this was that the people were farmers and they had only one set of clothes made of wool. So they used to work until it was close to midday, and then they come to the masjid, and when they came to the masjid, they sat, it was closed, it was tight, and they started to smell awfully. And they complained to the Prophet ﷺ that, okay, I can smell my own smell, but I cannot smell my brother's smell. It is so awful, the clothes are dirty, and we smell a lot because of the work under the sun. So the Prophet ﷺ addressed them and told them that it is not permissible for you to come without taking ghusl, a bath for Jum'ah. So Ibn Abbas is explaining what is the origin of this issue. He said after a while, after the people got a little bit rich and they got well off and they used to offer ghusl, then it became normal for them whether to come with ghusl or not, as long as they do not smell. And that is why Ibn Taymiyyah, may Allah have mercy on his soul, said that it is sunnah, yet it is mandatory on those who are smelling, on those who stink, that they must perform ghusl before attending the ghusl of Friday. And this is the most authentic opinion of scholars, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. Among the questions that you may ask, and I will ask you, do you have questions? You have questions. So among the questions that some of you may ask, is this ghusl mandatory or recommended for everyone, or only those who attend the Friday? The answer is only on those who attend Friday. So who are those who are exempted from attending Friday? Women, children, travelers. The sick and the ill are always exempted from attending because they have an excuse, but it is not permanent. So the scholars say that women, the children, the slaves, and travelers, these are exempted from attending Friday prayer. And what do we mean by travelers? A person who is on the road. So if I'm traveling from one city or one country to the other, and on my way I pass by a place where they're calling for Jum'ah, should I stop? No, I continue. But if I reach my destination and tomorrow is Jum'ah, do I have to go and pray? Yes. Now I'm not on the road of traveling. And scholars say that if those who it is not obliged upon them to attend Jum'ah, do they pray Dhuhr? No. For them it is accepted and they have no problem for that. One would ask, when it is time to perform ghusl, can I perform ghusl before the break of dawn? Or I have to perform ghusl after the break of dawn? The scholars say the Friday ghusl must be after the break of dawn, after Fajr. Because before that, it was not the day of Jum'ah, it was the night of Jum'ah. So if I offer my ghusl at 3 a.m., this is Friday night. It's not Friday. But after Fajr, this is considered to be the day and I can offer it. Some scholars say that if you offer the ghusl anytime, even before Maghrib prayer, then this is okay. And scholars say no, this is not okay. The end of ghusl of Friday ends with what? Ends with the prayer ending. So if you pray after the Friday prayer, what use is it? Because this is a ritual designed for the prayer itself. Praying it afterwards does not do you any good. Unlike reciting Surah Al-Kahf. You don't have to recite Surah Al-Kahf before Friday. You can recite it before Asr, before Maghrib, a minute or two just before sunset. This would be acceptable. Do we have any questions? Yes, the brother on top.
Sheikh, my question is regarding the masjid and the imam. The question is that you told last time when we met that it is not allowed to decorate the masjids. But we know from a hadith or a narration that once Usman radiallahu anhu in his caliphate, he was arguing with the people and they were telling him that no, you cannot decorate the masjid. But he quoted something and said that I have heard Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he used Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam evidence and he designed and decorated the masjid with limestone, and we know that he bought even oak. And also I wanted to ask that if the imam changes, for example, another imam comes, a more knowledgeable person, for example, in this gathering of ours, if Sheikh Saud al-Shuraim comes and leads us in a prayer, will the reward will be more or will it stay the same?
Regarding decorating the masjids, I do not know this hadith regarding Uthman, may Allah be pleased with him, decorating the masjid. We know that he expanded the masjid a bit, and maybe he thought that decorating the masjid in a fashion that is unlike definitely what we're doing now. It was probably decorating it by, instead of putting the trunks of palm trees, he made a wall. And some of the companions complained to that, thinking that this is decoration, but this is not decoration. And if you put limestone, this is to make it stronger, and it would prevent things to come inside and dirt, and also it would prevent it from having rain water spoiling the masjid. But this is not decoration. The Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, when he instructed someone to build the masjid, to make it a place where rain would not come in, and to make it like a arish of Arish Musa, which is something related to Musa. Arish is like a hut. So yes, decorating the masjid is not something recommended, but we have to differentiate between building a masjid in a fashion that may stay for a long time and decorating it and being extravagant while doing this. Regarding Sheikh Saud Shuraim praying or not praying, this is irrelevant. We're talking about building the masjid, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. Yes, Abdurrahman.
Sheikh, regarding the issue of Jumu'ah, is there a minimum amount of people required to initiate the prayer of Jumu'ah? And regarding that also, some of the masjids that we visited, even though here in the subcontinent people don't understand Arabic, the khutbah is only in Arabic. So is it recommended or what?
The first one is, some scholars say that the minimum required for the audience of Jumu'ah is 40. But this is not backed by authentic hadith, and the most authentic opinion of scholars is that you have 3 people, 1 as an imam and 2 as followers and listening to the imam. And the second question, which is regarding the khutbah, which language it would be, I believe that we will postpone this. Until then, I'd leave you in Allah's safeguarding. Fi amanillah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.